Thomas DeLoa lost 100 pounds, and that is impressive. No one can take that away from him. But somewhere between his transformation and his YouTube empire, the science got somewhat distorted. So today I'm going to break down his worst advice and show you that there might be some myths hiding in plain sight. Because when someone says that you can lose fat fast with keto while simultaneously keeping your metabolism high, you realise that physiology doesn't care what's trending. So he's got a massive influence. Millions of people watch his videos and they think he's breaking down the science of fat loss and they think he's solving the weight loss problems, but what he's actually doing is replacing old myths with new myths, old marketing with new marketing. And it sounds scientific because he uses words like keto and leptin and thermogenics and cites studies that might not be quite the same conclusion as what the authors. I've spent years doing every single diet and I'm reading the research and I know the papers say something different than what he claims. Sometimes they say the opposite. The papers are real, they're there, you can read them, but the interpretation isn't, and that's what we're going to explain. I'm going to break down his biggest claims. For each one, I'll show you what the research actually says, what he got right, what is distorted, and what he got completely wrong. And by the end, you'll be able to understand how to spot when science gets twisted into marketing. This matters because you might be following that advice. You're probably buying products. You're probably confused about fat loss because you're not getting information from someone who knows how to make pseudoscience sound legitimate. That needs to stop. So here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to take each claim, I'll show you the actual study, what they prove, and show you where it's been distorted. And that's it. Real research, real analysis.
Don't lose weight too fast. Okay, I see the point here. And I know enough physiology to know that when people lose weight really fast, it can slow down the metabolism. It can slow down what's called the resting metabolic rate. Now, mind you, the resting metabolic rate is probably the biggest just overall factor in how successful you are at losing weight. And you know what the biggest driver of the resting metabolic rate is? Your lean muscle mass. Now, I was a heavy guy and I was definitely afraid when people would tell me, hey, if you're going to lose this 100 pounds, like your metabolism is going to slow down and you're going to be miserable and you're going to gain it all back. Okay. Now here's the interesting thing. I lost.
A quick note there to where he's saying that the biggest driver of resting metabolic rate is lean mass, and it's not. That would suggest that someone that was 400 pounds will burn less calories than someone who's 5% body fat but has more muscle. And that's just not the way that this works. Metabolism basically goes off weight. Muscle burns more calories than fat. It's about 4 calories per pound. Yes, being more muscular will increase your resting metabolic rate, but that's specific to you. That isn't, okay, I'll just lose all the fat and my metabolism will stay the same, because your fat's still metabolic. Because your fat is still metabolic.
Over 100 pounds in a little over a year. And I kept it off. I haven't rebounded. In fact, I'm in the best shape of my life right now. And I would say I lost it pretty aggressively. So I've racked my mind. Like, how come I didn't have these issues? How come? And I realized it was bad advice that people were giving me. You can lose weight fast. You just have to do it right. You see, there was a study that was published in the Journal of Nutrition and Metabolism. It took a look at 20 subjects and it had them go on a low-carb ketogenic diet to lose weight. And it had them lose weight pretty aggressively. They lost 45 pounds in 4 months. And they found at the end of the study that even though they lost that 45 pounds, their resting metabolic rate didn't change at all.
It did. 45 pounds in 4 months is around about 2.8 pounds per week. 2.8 pounds per week, depending on what the starting point is aggressive. Realistically, you should probably aim for around about 1% of your body weight per week. So if these people were 300 pounds, 340 pounds, and then lost 45 pounds, then 2.8 pounds a week is fine. And if you're 340 pounds, it's going to be very, very, very easy fat. But metabolic rate will be affected.
Because normally the resting metabolic rate would mean that, like, if you weigh 250 pounds and you lose 50 pounds, your metabolism is going to slow down appropriately to that 50 pounds you lost. So why did these people not have their metabolism slow down?
Losing fat is calories in, calories out. Doesn't matter if you eat protein, fats, carb. If you want to build muscle, if you want to maintain the muscle, you eat protein and you train hard. If you want to lose weight or fat, just in general, you eat less calories than what you can lose fat by eating carbs. You can lose 45 pounds of fat in 4 months still eating carbs.
Hear me out. I'm an honest guy, and I will tell you that there are so many ways you can lose weight, and that calories do matter. Thermodynamics, calories in, calories out do matter. But I would arguably say the ketogenic diet allowed me to lose my body fat without losing muscle. Therefore, my resting metabolic rate stayed elevated. So
keeping muscle in a calorie deficit is based on protein and training. So again, eating carbs whilst trying to lose fat, as long as you've got the training stimulus and the protein, you're going to be fine. And it's N equals 1. It allowed him, it allowed me to build muscle. It allowed me. We don't know what he's done during this time. It's not documented. It's not like Jersey Shore where everyone's got cameras on him 24/7 and you can actually study it, or it's within a study setting and they're doing papers on him. It's him talking about his experience. He doesn't know what's happened to his body. He doesn't know what's happening to his body, and he doesn't know what his resting metabolic rate was beforehand and what his resting metabolic rate is after.
I deem that bad advice. Okay, the next one.
Here's what he doesn't tell you about that study in particular. 20 subjects, no control groups, no comparison to any other diets, just 20 people doing keto for 4 months. That's not conclusive, and it's not even a starting point. The bigger issue is, he says, keto protection metabolism and that ketones prevent metabolic slowdown. That's the hook. That's the thing that he's going to sell you. That's what sounds absolutely revolutionary. But physiology doesn't work that way. Your metabolic adaptation is controlled by 2 things. Energy deficit, lean mass loss, not macronutrients, not being in keto. The science is clear on this one. There was a study done in between 2016 and 2020. They compared the keto diet regular, same calories, different macros, same metabolic slowdown. But Thomas said that his metabolism didn't slow down. It did. When you preserve muscle, eat enough protein, resistance training, your resting metabolic rate stable on keto, on low fat, on vegan, on carnivore, on whatever the hell you want. It's the muscle. Muscle will protect your metabolism, not ketones. So yes, you can lose weight fast, but not because of keto magic. It's because you kept your protein high and you kept lifting. You didn't starve yourself, and that works on any diet. Think of your metabolism like your heating bill in your house. When you lose weight, the heating bill goes down because the house is smaller, not because of what the fuel you use. You could heat it with gas or electricity. It doesn't matter. The house is still smaller, so the bill goes lower. Keto is the fuel choice. Weight loss is the house size, and they're completely separate. This next point is where it gets really manipulative. It talks about shocking your body and leptin and hacking hormones.
Being strict all the time. You have to be strict all the time. Okay, there's like 50% of the people tell you you need to be relaxed and you can't be strict all the time, and then 50% of the people tell you you have to be completely strict, you have to be in a constant deficit. It sounds crazy to me now, because it's not about just a progressive weight loss or a progressive calorie restriction. Fat loss works best when it comes down to spontaneous calorie restriction. That's why intermittent fasting worked so well, because I'd be here and then boom, fat.
Fat loss works best when you shock the body. So go strict for a while, then loosen up, then go strict again.
That is what shocks the body. Okay, and it has to do with leptin, it has to do with a lot of different things. So a lot of people will tell you you need to have leptin spikes. You need to have these cheat meals, okay, because it's going to restore leptin levels. Not quite that way. So here's what leptin is. Let me explain it really simply. Leptin is the telephone from your fat to your brain. And when leptin levels are high, like after a big cheat meal, your fat cells call your brain and they say, hey brain, just wanted to let you know we have plenty of calories. We're good to go. If you want to turn up the metabolism a little bit, you can. So boom, metabolism burns hot.
He's talking about leptin spikes, thyroid resets, like his body is a machine with buttons that you just press and then magically fat just disappears from you like crazy. Again, it's almost sounds scientific, like the word leptin. Leptin is a real hormone, so it sounds like he's discovered something real, but leptin isn't like a light switch. It's not on or off. It's like a dimmer. And it's controlled by one thing, and that is your body fat. Not one cheat meal, not a refeed meal, your overall body comp. And you can't hack your hypothalamus with a keto brain. Your brain doesn't work that way. Your brain measures your fat stores over weeks and months, not hours, and definitely not days. So here's what actually happens when you intermittent fast and do these big refeeds like he suggests. They work, and they work because you reduce your overall intake, not because they trick your hormone. And whilst we're talking about it, there was published research showing that people eat 10 to 20% less when they restrict their eating window. But that's just compliance. It's not psychology, it's not physiology. The body doesn't have a reset button. There's no spontaneous thermogenesis from shocking it. You can't confuse your metabolism to burning more fat. You can confuse yourself into following better habits though. And that's it. Your body's like a bank account, and he's telling that if you make big deposit and massive withdrawals, then your bank resets and gives you, and that's not how banks work. Your account balance is your account balance. You cannot manipulate that system with these sneaky moves, because the maths is the maths, and calories in, calories out works every single time.
Thomas, you should be snacking often. If you snack often, you're going to get your metabolism revved up. You should do that, okay? So I see the point, because the theory is that if you're constantly eating, then your metabolism is constantly working to digest the food. Do you know what the thermic effect of food is? Like how small of a percentage it is? It's like less than 1%. Okay, if I were to just...
Now we're talking about snacking, and he sounds smart. Rejects an old myth, bro science, but replaces it with a new one. He's almost mocking the old myth. The one that is eat 6 small meals a day, boost your metabolism, you snack often. Keeps your metabolism revved up all day. And I fell for it when I first started in the gym, because you get to eat more frequent, burn more calories, so that's perfect. He says that that's wrong, but his version is right, but then goes off track.
That's like, it just makes no sense. That's like saying, well, I'm going to go eat right now because I know that eating 2,000 calories is going to rev up my metabolism enough to burn an extra 50. There's no logic. There's logic. There's no actual sense or no actual true sense to it. Now, here's the big thing. Snacking ends up spiking your insulin. You burn fat in between meals. Okay? You spike your insulin when you eat something, and glucagon goes down. When insulin is up, glucagon is down. When insulin goes down, glucagon goes up. I sound like a broken record. I've talked about that so many times. But glucagon being elevated is when you can actually start burning fat. You cannot burn fat in the presence of insulin. So every time you eat, you turn off.
Hypothetically, if you never stopped eating, but let's just say that this food was lettuce, so there's constantly food going into your body, and the overall calories of this lettuce is lower than what your metabolism. Do you really think that you're not going to lose weight? There is some mechanism somewhere that will allow you to lose fat in the presence. Okay, keeping insulin high, bullshit. Like the typical keto carnivore villain, insulin. It makes it sound like eating frequent meals makes you fat because of the insulin hormone, but that's not real. Insulin does suppress fat oxidation short term, but daily fat loss depends on energy balance, not hourly insulin fluctuation. If that wasn't true, every diabetic on insulin will gain infinite fat, and they don't. And why is that? Because they're subject to the law of thermodynamics. Here is what research actually showed. Schoenfeld published a meta-analysis in 2015 looking at meal frequency and fat loss. 6 meals versus 2 meals. It had the same total fat loss if calories and macros were equated. The thermic effect of food is about 10% of calories. It's higher for protein. It's lower for fat. So it doesn't matter if you eat that in 1 meal or 6. What does matter is appetite. Some people feel fuller eating 6 small meals per day. Others feel hungrier and need the big meals. So meal frequency should match your psychology. Not a magic number. Insulin isn't the villain. Overeating, consuming too much food is. You can imagine it like this, like your digestive system is like a factory. Whether you run it continuously with like small deliveries or just in big batches, the total output is the same because we need to get rid of the batch. Some factories work better if you have a continuous flow of stuff coming through. Others prefer massive loads of batches and then they'll just deal with it there and then. Both work, but the factory is just a logistics. It's the same thing.
The next one is, here, take this fat burner. This used to be one of my favorites because I was a guy that was willing to take fat burners. Like I would take all these over-the-counter things to try to get myself to lose weight more, and all it would do is make me feel sick. And the point is that it's kind of a twist. Fat burners do actually work, but they're not the end-all be-all. They're not going to make you burn more fat. What they are going to do is they're going to enhance what you're getting out of a workout at that point in time. You still have to do the work. So there was a study that was published in the Journal of International Society of Sports Nutrition. It took a look at test subjects and it gave them either a placebo or it gave them a thermogenic fat burner. Okay, and these were all weight train experienced individuals. Okay, so it was interesting though. What they did is they measured their baseline basal metabolic rate, they measured their heart rate, their catecholamines, and all kinds of things. And what they found is that the group that was taking the fat burner actually had quite a big increase in their resting metabolic rate. They measured at 60 minutes, 120 minutes, and 180 minutes. They had like a 7.8% increase in their resting metabolic rate at 60, like a 6.9% at 120, and a 9.1 at 180.
So he argues that fat burners raise your metabolism by 89%. Quoting a study makes it sound like real science, like the supplements are legitimate tools for fat loss. The truth about fat burners is that the majority of them are caffeine and they'll give you a boost so you might be able to work harder whilst you work out. So they will assist your workout. If you want something that will burn fat, first of all, you need a calorie deficit. Second, you're not going to get them legal. So yes, thermogenic supplements can bump your metabolism. Caffeine works, yohimbine works, synephrine works. In the UK, most of them are not legal. They will increase energy expenditure. But it's only for a few hours and it might be like 80 to 100 calories. So it's like a banana. There was a study published in 2010 and in 1999. They both show the same thing, that caffeine increases energy expenditure, but your body adapts. So within like a week, your tolerance will reset and the baseline goes back to normal. You need more to get the same effects. And you'll probably notice this, that one coffee doesn't hit the same and you need more to actually feel as awake in the morning. But the real problem with fat burners is that studies show that people subconsciously eat more after taking stimulants. They'll feel more energized and they'll feel like they've done something. So they'll like reward themselves and they'll eat slightly more. And then the small calorie bump from the supplement just disappears. Because you still need to be in the calorie, supplements don't. Fat burners are like a booster for your car. It can help performance, but if you've got no petrol in your tank, the booster doesn't matter because your car just won't run. Calories are like the petrol. The supplement is the booster. You need the petrol first. Now we're going to talk about something different, about friendship. And this part might actually be true for you, but it's slightly more nuanced than what he makes it.
Don't lose your friends along the way. Okay, it's a tough one, right? Because in theory, it makes sense, right? You have a group of friends, you start living a healthier lifestyle, you start making good decisions, and you don't want to abandon your friends, right? So you do whatever you can, but you don't realize that perhaps some of those friends weren't exactly the best influence.
He's going around, but it's quite a motivational note. He's saying that ditching bad friends unlocked his transfer. Don't hang around bad people that eat junk and don't hang around people who don't work out. Find new and better friends, and it sounds good. It sounds motivational, but it isn't complete. And you do copy and inherit some habits of your friends. You might copy the activity, sleep habits, drinking habits, going out to eat habits. But there was research published in 2007, and they tracked thousands of people over decades, and they found something crazy. If a friend became obese, your risk of also becoming obese rose by 57%. Social norms drive choices more than willpower or slogans. But here's what he doesn't say. You don't have to dump your friends. You just have to curate your own environment. So if you find training partners or online communities, family members who will help you reinforce those habits that you want, you're not going to abandon the people. You're just adding people. You're building a network that supports your goals. And that's more powerful. The truth is, social influence is powerful. You have to use it, because if you fight against it, you're going to lose. You surround yourself with people who move, care about the food that they eat, who prioritize. That's the real secret. Not friendship, but influence. It's like your circle is your operating system and it runs everything. You can't override it with willpower. You have to change the system itself. If your operating system has bugs, no amount of trying harder will fix it. If you've ever watched Thomas before, you might have been in. He's pretty influential. And the science that he cites makes it sound like he knows something that you don't. So you've tried a diet before and it's not worked. So obviously he's done it. He knows something that no one else. You're going to try it. It doesn't make you stupid. It just makes you curious. You wanted to understand weight loss, and that's good. But it's not good when you get sold complexity and talking about leptin and hormones and insulin that has nothing to do with fat loss. The truth is, fat loss isn't complex. No matter if you're on keto or whatever diet, you're still gonna have to. Complicating things means you just need special knowledge. That knowledge doesn't change physics. Honestly, all you need to do is just show up consistent. Be consistent with your diet and adjust when needed, not every. So if you want to understand the actual science of weight loss, not the marketing version that Thomas gives you, not the supplement version that the marketing, but the real principles that actually work, pulls everything from real meta-analysis, real studies, and it shows you how to lose fat without supplements, without complicated, without gimmicks. So if you click on that video, in the next 36 minutes, you'll never have to watch YouTube for fat loss videos ever again.